caught in the crossfire.
Hey everybody, we are back. HideYourCarry here with Rolwen.
Hello.
And we just did the LEC semifinals VOD review, and now we're going to review Game 2 of the LEC Finals. So let's take a look at some of the nonsense in this game.
Well, let me tell you, as a support main, this is just amazing. We've got, in a single game, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 support champions across two teams, and that's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, I'm feeling a little sad because there's only one jungler, but I don't know. I'm very interested in seeing how this plays out because it's very unusual.
Right. As the underrepresented role in this game, and as a jungler main, what's your take on the interaction between these two compositions?
Well, there's a lot to take in. I'm kind of figuring it out as I go. It's very interesting. I think that G2 needs to be a little bit careful with how they play some things because late game the Sonateric ball with Kennen and Rek'Sai / Yasuo engage, like they're all gonna try and roll onto somebody and eat them alive. But G2 has pretty solid pick. So, and they can also spread out the map a little bit, it seems like. So, I don't know. It's really interesting. I'm excited to see what they both do.
Right. Obviously, I think we should first go for the lane by lane, but it gets kind of blurry with the assignments now, but I think we can give it a shot.
Yeah.
So the one lane that is untouched by all the shenanigans with this draft is obviously the top lane.
Yeah. Ryze versus Kennen, which, I mean, both are pretty solid scaling mages. Both can play pretty safe if they want to. Both have speed ups in their kit. It's, nothing too crazy going on up there.
Right. An interesting thing in this matchup is that both Kennen and Ryze are these sort of ambiguous mages in that sense that you can't really fit them onto the conventional categories that we used to discuss in the past, whereas we had battle mages and control mages and assassin mages, all of that. Where do you really put these champions on? They are niche in their own particular sense. Obviously, Kennen is supposed to be annoying if you are a melee champion against him. Obviously, Ryze has a slow start, one would say, and then incredible mid-late game, bonkers damage late game.
I would say they both fit into their comps in good ways, though. In important ways. Do. Because Kennen fits really well into like a ball team fight style that Sona and Taric might be looking for, but he can also be annoying in a side lane if he needs to be. And then Ryze can help his team get to isolated locations more quickly. Like, they can take advantage of missteps by OG, because you want to catch OG's comp out in weird locations. You don't want to let them get the fight they want.
Right, and one important thing there as well is that they do provide wave clear. Obviously, Ryze's wave clear is way more secure in regard to like bouncing flocks on the minions than queuing all the wave, which is always a pleasant thing to do. Kennen does have to sort of get in the middle of the wave to actually proc all the marks of the storm and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm interested. Yeah, OG definitely has go buttons in their composition, right? It's the go button of a Kennen ultimate flanking, the Sona ultimate, even the Taric ultimate as a preemptive teamfight starter.
Diving. They have pretty good dive. I mean, with Rek'Sai burrowing in and the follow-up from everyone, including the speed up from Sona, they can get on you pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's true. One thing, though, just staying a little bit on the top lane match, is that it's actually interesting to see the, I wouldn't say the evolution, but just what Alphari and Wonder picked as their rune choices this game. Because one would expect, obviously, Kennen to have either Klepto, but that's against a tank.
Yeah, he can't take Klepto as easily against Ryze. Yeah.
Right. Maybe Face Rush, maybe Airy. So all of this, random questions like, what do I take? The default apparently was the Unsealed Spellbook, which obviously has its pros and cons.
I think that probably for me, in what I was thinking, is that Phase Rush would be better if you're looking to gain an advantage yourself in lane, and I think that Unsealed Spellbook has more utility to help the team as you skirmish and stuff. I don't know.
Right. Obviously, the various summoner choices may help. Getting a smite at some points in the game is a good idea. Some barrier cleanse, all of those.
Because getting a smite would be amazing. If a mountain RNGs, then their comp can, like, they kind of want them to come into them at a Baron pit or something, because they have pretty good turn.
And Sonateric probably give teams the most, the safest Baron threat possible, because it's like they're never gonna let anyone in their team drop below 90% health.
And they have the Yasuo for the DPS on the Baron, so they don't even lose that by having this bot lane.
DPS and wind wall, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
in the Baron.
That's a scary comp.
But yeah, now I think we can take a look at the other four as a sort of like as a whole. we can't really go lane by lane now, aside from probably the mid lane.
But who knows?
But who knows? Yeah. Lane assignments are going to be what defines how these compositions interact. I do want to point out something, and this is something that G2 did, and I think it's the smartest part of this draft. Sonateric compositions really excel against poke, because you can't really poke him out of anywhere.
So much heal.
Right?
Yeah,
it's so much heal. So what they are going to be looking to do is to have all their teammates topped up for a team fight, but then it becomes a matter of execution in the team fight, right? It's not just, we're going to heal everything you throw at us, is, will you burst us fast enough that our heal is meaningless? Speaking of Sonateric. And I'm kind of looking at G2's composition, and they bring some burst to the table.
Well, yeah, Sona can't really heal you if you got 100 to negative 500. If a Morg Bind hits, if a Pike Q hits, if a Rakan Engage hits, one person is just popping. Like, before Terragalt can go off, before Sona can save them, like, it might be Sona that gets caught. But G2 is an amazing pick comp, which is a good counter to this strat. I agree.
Yeah, and that's sort of the difference between real tankiness and what I call soft or pseudo-tankiness. That OG has a lot of pseudo-tankiness, right? Because of the extra speeds that they do have that lets them dodge skill shots. That's Kennen E, Yasuo just jumping everywhere, Sona E, whatever. They've got a lot of heals, they've got shields, they got the shields that give resistances, etc. But that's about it. The tankiest member, farmed member on OG side is just going to be the Rek'Sai.
Yeah.
And everyone else can pop, as you said, with the circumstances or the abilities that G2 can throw at them.
Would you suggest then that Rek'Sai go a little tankier in his build? Like, what do you think Rek'Sai's build looks like? Does he need to be a frontliner? Does he need to be, more tank in the off tank?
It sort of feels like that way, because I think having two damage dealers that are split across, Kennen magic damage dealer, Yasuo physical damage dealer, I think that's enough. And the Sona Taric damage is an afterthought at that point.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I think they haven't enough. They just don't have enough in the tank to phase all of the burst damage that G2 is going to bring to the table.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe with an early advantage, maybe Cold goes for a greedier build, which I hope he doesn't.
I think that would be a mistake. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But even then, one has to make the argument that no matter how tanky Rek'Sai goes, at one point, if she drops low enough for the Pyke execution, we have to remember, this is not a support Pyke. This is a Pyke that's going to be farming.
Yeah, true.
Right?
I mean, he may be sharing
point,
a lot of that farm.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he has Relic Shield, but still, yeah.
Yeah, it does feel like it's going to be a farmed Pyke. And just the execution range is going to be huge.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Not the execution range, but the threshold. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. And combine that with a Lord
This is so exciting.
You know.
Yeah.
Or the roaming Rakan, because I assume that Perks and I mean, I think that Xayah and Rakan are just not going to separate from each other, but we could see some interesting two-man ganks coming in from Rakan. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a composition that really lets creativity in tactical execution and strategical execution to shine.
Yeah, and
right?
in our
because it's so flexible.
Yeah, in our previous videos, we talked a lot about, hey, here's how they want to play out the early game to get an advantage they can snowball, or here's how they need to survive in this way or that way. But G2 has so many options right now.
Right.
I can't say they should be focusing this lane, or they should be doing blah. Like, they can do a lot of different things. I'm interested.
Right. Well, I think we've covered enough.
Yeah, let's launch into things.
Let's actually get into it.
All right, here we go.
That's actually a really interesting line of scrimmage from both sides. That they are mostly defensive around bot side.
Well,
with
I think that part of it is
real behind.
Part of it is G2 has a very strong level 1.
Yes.
And so I don't know. I think that OG is willing to give up a little bit of aggression in their stances.
Right.
I don't know.
And we have to make also the point that Xayah Rakan invading, yes, it's going to be obviously a numbers disadvantage for the Rek'Sai at many points in the game, but it's not like they can chase you down.
No, especially since Rek'Sai has an escape ability.
Yes.
It's not like he's against, I don't know, thinking of bad examples, but maybe a Xin Zhao or something or a Nocturne early, where you just, if he gets caught out, it's kind of hard for him to get away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also a part of the identity.
What? I see. Oh, I misunderstood. Okay. So they're going to bottom lane.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Makes sense.
This is a Pyke Morgana versus Sona Taric in the bot lane.
What I was assuming, and I guess part of the issue is that there just isn't enough time to get everywhere. I assumed that Pyke would be mid, handing off some farm to Perks, and then Perks would go bottom lane and also collect some bottom stuff and be able to gank bot lane, where Morgana was just holding waves. But this is interesting as well.
Yeah, and it sort of seems like instead of it being Xayah, the old funnel ways of farming the jungle and then waiting in the mid lane to actually farm that and then going back to the jungle, this sort of feels like being mid lane and then farming the jungle on your free time.
Interesting. Okay.
Obviously, this is a race to get that warrior enchantment.
Yeah, so they can actually farm effectively.
Yeah, that the anti-funnel system that the jungle items have in place no longer is there.
I don't think that's going to... I think that's very bad. Yeah, that's very bad for OG. That was forced way too hard. You have people with shields and dashes. I guess they felt like they needed to disrupt things, but there are better ways to do that, I think.
Yeah, the intent was good. The lane This is obviously hard, and we have to talk about the novelty of it, because usually in the mid lane, you obviously see mid laners trying to rush levels, right?
Yeah.
You see because it's an important objective in the early game to be a higher level than your opponent and force traits in that way. But here we see a buttload of red minions just hitting Cold and Nuke Dog.
Yeah. Well, they engaged into a cannon wave, and an extra wave showing up. I think one other interesting thing is G2 just got to double crab the Rek'Sai, because Rek'Sai greeted for that gank attempt. He lost a ton of stuff off of that, and now Xayah's going to be even more ahead.
Yeah, but also you have to look at target selection, because the original play was onto the Xayah, but the one that got low was Rakan.
Yeah.
Right? Xayah never dropped below 50%,
no.
or at least it didn't look like it. So yeah, that was an interesting, both tactical, strategical, and mechanical misplay in that regard.
What's cool to me is that Rakan is not by Xayah's side right now. He's instead getting vision control. I think they want to continue making sure that Rek'Sai can't get this top lane back in the game, because I think his main lane that he would look for to get an advantage in would be top side. He looks to get his cannon snowballing.
Right.
And with a great vision control, they can stop that.
This is looking like a dive.
Yeah, this is very interesting. And they had the vision control in his jungle to know that Rek'Sai wasn't going to counter gank them. That was really well played to send Xayah to grab that farm while they roamed up. That's fascinating. I love it.
Right. There was a lot of I wouldn't say foreshadowing, but the preparation of that play, the setup was absolutely amazing by G2. This seems like a rehearsed play, right?
For sure. Well, and you would think early game, oh, you're just going to stay with the Xayah, make sure she's safe and healthy in the jungle, and then you'll look to go mid, maybe you'll gank bot at some point. But no, they split up at the exact right moment where Xayah knew she wanted to back, so she grabbed all the camps bot side, and then Pyke and Rakan set up for that dive. That was completely unexpected from Origin. They couldn't have known that was coming. That's really interesting.
Right. They must have known, at least in the shot caller sense of the word, they should have known that something was going on, but it's actually really hard to know where and exactly how, right? And what's enabling it is just the Morgana changes from that happened with the BFX update of doing extra damage, the lower minions and champions and monsters actually allows for a lot of flexibility in just pushing. Yeah. That's a dead level 3 Rakan.
Yeah, that's the one downside here. Continue, sorry.
Yeah, so that was well played by Origin to capitalize a little bit on that mistake.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was more of just a greed from G2 there.
Definitely. Going back onto that, this composition is obviously well thought out in the sense that Morgana can hold her own against, as you said, Zona Taric not really having that much of
they can't push them
push
in.
Power.
They can't push her in super easily because that's just not what their champions do. And Morg now is going to have multiple points in her W probably, and so she's going to be able to hold a wave or clear a wave.
Yeah. The usual course of action here is obviously putting at least 3 points early, and then either going for the Q-Max, which is a truckload of damage, or onto the E. Obviously, we can't see because there's a happy team of blocking. Nope. There is a happy team of blocking our view there.
One thing I want to mention and bring up from the previous play, it's a little bit back. I don't want to rewind all the way to it, but the play where Rakan died. One thing I want to mention is that they were looking to just clear that mid wave and head back into their jungle. I don't think G2 needs to have ward control over that top brush in mid. Like, why does it matter? I can't think of a single reason you'd need vision control there. with what they were doing. They were just looking to clear mid and go back into their jungle. So Rakan just greeted for that. I don't really know the need to grab that ward.
Well, I have to empathize. There's always the muscle memory excuse of being the support and wanting to just do.
Well, and you're Rakan, you feel so safe.
Yeah.
But what I mean is just macro-wise, like, they're not going to be mid. Who cares?
Yeah, and obviously the situation is different. You're not a support who has been present in lane, absorbing experience.
Yeah.
You were split up from your carry. You do not absorb experience.
At that point, he was like 4 levels behind the Xayah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was, I remember the level 3 Rakan, obviously, against level 6+ of Yasuo. Yeah. So, yeah, that definitely is true. There was greed in that play.
Yeah, definitely. We all have that.
Now, yeah. And now, an interesting thing that might need to happen in the following minutes is obviously the fight for the Inferno Drake.
Yeah.
Now, an interesting thing, and obviously we've all been culprits in this of this is where's the AD carry when you need it? Well, if the AD carry is the jungler, you're always where you need to be. That was an interesting play in the top lane. There was 2 flashes spent by OG.
Ooh, but if they get this back, that could be really interesting.
Yeah. Could it be?
Well, I was about to say before that play happened that I don't like. OG would really love this Infernal for their comp, but I at the current game state, I do not see how they can test the Infernal. Because the enemy jungler is just too strong. Jungler, quote unquote, is just too strong. And they have
the enemy with the smite summoner.
And look at how strong their G2's skirmish is as a team right now. Like, I would be scared to fight that. And then OG got a free kill top, and I was like, oh, they might actually end up with an advantage here. But no, they got it back. So, I mean, OG is getting some free push on bottom lane, which means they might have priority for this dragon, but G2 can fight it.
Yeah, 100%. There was a G2 teleport expenditure onto the top lane. I don't quite recognize the reason why.
He might get first tower here. Because I think Kennen is rotating for the dragon, so I guess they're deciding it's fine to give that up. I don't agree. I think that OG is far too strong as a composition with an Infernal, especially multiple Infernals, if another one comes up.
Right, and in the previous video we did mention about how taking Drakes decelerates the game for you, unless it's on absolutely free time that you actually take them. So I think this is sort of a strategic gamble by G2 in a way, of knowing that it doesn't matter. A percentage extra AD and AP doesn't matter if you don't build those items, right?
Yeah.
So if we do not allow you to get those items first.
And it let G2's jungle duo set up, like they got to clear a bunch more, get more of a lead, back, reset, and get ready for plays like this. And maybe get a couple of towers off of the situation.
Right. And obviously we do have to, as the play is coming on, we do have to mention that one interesting thing of supports is obviously they do not require that much gold to be effective at many stages of the game. There's always a utility factor.
Yeah.
But Xayah having more farm as a play is happening, which was, I think, a little bit of disrespect by Origin there.
Yeah, that dive was really well executed by G2, I think. So.
Yeah, and this is just going to end up in
it's a free tower top
disengaging
as well.
Yeah,
because Kennen tried to rotate, or Yasuo and Kennen tried to rotate down to help, but they were too late. That was just a little bit slow on the macro. Like they were a little slow on the rotation. At that point, you just kind of give that tower a little bit, I think. I don't know. It's hard to do in the moment, though.
Yeah, and Kennen had no clear way to speak to engage to speak of, right?
Yeah,
because he has barrier right now instead of a flash.
Yeah.
The flash that was used earlier in the top lane play to kill Wonder.
Yeah.
But going back to the point of gold dynamics with support champions there, right now, the fact that they do have gold is really important. The fact that Morgana has gold, that Pyke has gold, and Xayah has solo lane
and
amounts solo lane amounts of farm. It's actually disastrous for Origin.
Yeah. Well, and that's the sort of moment I talked about where I was saying, if G2 had decided to contest that Drake, I don't know if OG can fight it.
Yeah,
because look at
that gold. Yeah, look at that gold graph.
Yeah. Good job, Wonder. I mean, that's all the plates. He got first tower on his own.
Right, but we have to mention that three in theory, because Morgana does damage. 3 G2 damage dealers being above all champions on Origin side is just a massive advantage that they can now use to force plays on their own terms.
And the two on G2 that are G2 that are behind are ones where it doesn't matter as much.
Right, and
they're winning fights on every side of the map.
Yeah.
And that's just because, I mean, OG is just too far behind on the important people's gold. Oh, that was a good dodge.
Yeah.
Oh, there. Oh, got him.
Nowhere to run.
Oh, nice dodge again. Hey, OG, if there's one thing OG's doing well, it's dodging everything. Whoa. Jeez.
Some things.
Well, most of the dodgeable things.
Hey, you can't dodge if you're CC.
Exactly. There we go. Yeah, I mean.
Now, this is just becoming a stomp. But now, at this point, I do have to pose a question. Could you think of a way that G2 might have to come back to this game?
You mean OG?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. At this moment, I'm gonna let it go out to the. Let's see. So let me look. Let's see. So the current situation. Yasuo. Oh, that's hard to say because I think that the strength of OG's composition is that you want to hit those later game fights, and so I would say they need to stall out. But one of the issues is G2 is just going to make them keep bleeding gold by taking these towers, because if these objectives in these towers are just going to keep falling, because if OG tries to defend, even especially against a Rift Herald, G2 is at the point right now, especially since a couple of their members just backed, where they can just dive. And even if Terracult is used, they're going to be able to pop someone before it goes off. And they have ways to drop tower aggro as well. Whether it's with Morgana's stopwatch that she just got, or with Xayah ult. They have a lot of ways to juggle aggro effectively, even if Terracult is on. So, I don't know, it's really hard to defend towers against the current game state.
Right. There is an interesting topic that I like to talk about with some of my players, and that is on the dynamics of teamfighting, on determining who is expendable and who isn't. And obviously, we kind of think of AD carries and control mages and as non-expendable members of teams when it comes to team fights, right? Because you want them pumping out the damage.
Yeah.
And staying alive and staying as healthy as possible.
Yeah.
G2's composition has two of those, and they are absolutely horrifying. Ryze and Xayah.
And Ryze has the same gold lead as the funneled Xayah, so that's terrifying.
That is absolutely terrifying. But in a vacuum, you kind of look at Morgana and Morgana, Pyke, and Rakan, and they can just throw themselves into the OG team with reckless abandon, knowing that they have two great damage dealers that are ahead that can clean up team fights, and everything will be absolutely fine. Obviously, the push power also lies onto Wonder and Perks on Ryze and Xayah.
Yeah, well,
if you look at the OG side, then every single member they lose in a team fight actually hits them hard.
Yeah. There isn't really an expendable member. Whereas, yeah, like you were saying, so G2, if a Morgana is standing in the middle of the entire team, ulting with a stopwatch on and then dies, but they all get tethered, then, like, she's dead. Oh, no.
But she has done her job.
But OG is all dead, too. And Ryze and Xayah got free hits off because everyone was trying to run away from the Morgana. Like, that's, you know... Yeah, that's fine.
This is fine.
Yankos, just go sit in base for a little while. It's okay.
Player,
yeah, it stays cool.
Guys in the middle of the team, it stays cool. All right.
Yeah. Oh, I should unpause it. My bad.
No, it's absolutely fine. Now, as a well-known analyst would say, Clown Drake is about to spawn.
Fair enough.
And I think in this composition, it is indeed a Clown Drake and not a Crown Drake.
I think if OG was ahead, then Cloud would be wonderful for them. But they aren't.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, Lord.
That's not... No. That was Greedy Wonder.
Jeez. Yeah, he got a lot off of that for free and then just flashed in afterward. Oh, no, Nuke Duck, you gave it back. Your team got a nice, wonderful thing. All right, yeah, this is a weird... Oh, there we go. Yeah, they greeted on the way back, so it's fine.
Expendable members 101.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't say Ryze was an expendable member, and I would disagree with that, but, you know, it worked.
No, but they didn't lose their 2 expendables.
That's true. They still 50%. Have their funnel, Xayah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and like I was saying now, if they walk up and try and defend this tower for the Rift, I think they can just die. Especially since... Oh, yeah, especially since Taric doesn't have ult. There we go. That's exactly what I was talking about.
And, like, who is going to support that, the use of that crescendo? No one.
No one.
There's no capitalization to think of, yeah. If their aim was to defend the turret, that should have happened in a different manner and earlier. If their aim was to get kills, I'm not quite sure that was the right call.
If they just back off after they kill Wonder, I think they can just sit under their tower and defend that one. But like they could buy some time to scale, and that's all they need. That's all they can hope for is to not have fights and just get kills when they can.
That's actually a questionable pathing choice by Nuke Duck there, because he legitimately walked. Sort of like told Mickey, like, meet me in the brush. Because he was on Vision, and Mickey was on Vision, and there was no change in behavior, no change in pathing.
He may have tunneled.
Yeah.
On the fight.
That may have,
and I mean, I've done that before, but, you know.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. But I'm not in the finals of the LEC, so...
right.
Yeah. So it is a mistake. I think that... Yeah, I think the rest of the team tried to save him. Instead, they probably should have just backed off and taken the 1-for-1 and just stalled things out.
Right. Now, we hit a point where there is downtime on the map, right? Like, mid lane tier 1 has been destroyed. Morgana can take the remainder of the bot lane.
I don't know if it's downtime when G2 has so much pressure, though. Like, they can ball up and look for a dive here. Like, they won't, maybe, but they have that threat at all times, which is scary.
Right. I call it downtime in the regards of saying, like, there is no clear play that could happen without proper setup. So, in the meantime, we can do this. We can do the Cloud Drake. Now, obviously, G2 backing right now is now looking to take vision control off the top side to prepare for a Baron.
Yeah, I was about to say they should go grab Baron, but it's not up yet. Jeez.
That would be the obvious choice, but it's 2 minutes left till Baron spawns.
I think that's perfect for setting up vision, though. Like, that could be fun.
Yeah. There's a lot of time to just put down vision and have a laugh, have some tea in the enemy jungle.
Well, and now they have a Cloud Drake, so they can be everywhere.
Strongest Drake in the game. What I would say is there is a relatively common mistake that I regard as a mistake, is taking all tier 2s at the same time. Because that makes it that all lanes are equally long, and there is no way that you can stagger minion waves to pressure parts of the map in a different manner.
Yeah.
So in a 1-3-1 or a 1-4, it's actually more difficult, because now every single lane that you send the one or the ones, they are going to be super overextended.
So would you suggest just leaving a tower up if they give it to you for free? Like, what do you want there?
Yeah, like, unless there is absolutely nothing else that you can do on the map, sure. But even then, just let that tier 2 in the top lane stay there. It's the goal that it's going to give you and the pressure it's going to give you is not worth it. Obviously, the pressure turret on the map is the mid lane tier 1.
Yeah,
obviously, and destroying the at least 1 or 2 tier 1, tier 2 turrets on the lane that you want to have one of your split pushers, that's fine. But do not destroy all tier 2s, because then it becomes a case of someone will have to overextend.
Yeah.
And someone will be under greater threat.
I would argue right now that G2 has so much of a lead, and they can just they have such a perfect comp for sitting in a bush and catching you if you check on them, that they can just like send someone pretty deep bottom lane, and they're just gonna take the Baron if anyone shows.
Right.
But yeah, I guess there's no reason to force Wunder to use up his ult there. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. Because obviously G2 knows that the only way that they push safely is with this Baron or just fighting and diving with a numbers advantage or something.
Yeah.
Now they do get the Baron, and now there is team fight versus team fight.
That was a really good play from Morg, though.
Yeah. Buying time.
That didn't work out as well as we'd hoped, but they're so far ahead, they should be able to clean this up.
Oh, Wunder?
Yeah. The team didn't believe. The team didn't believe in him.
Yeah. He proved them wrong.
Yeah. I was gonna say, it looks like they're low, but it looks like they can clean this up, and then Wunder just did it himself. Oh!
This is painful, but Saya is yelling, objectives, guys, objectives.
Well, I mean, they're stopping the backs. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, that was close.
Jeez. Oh,
ouch.
Finally. Oh. Rek'Sai disrupted that wave enough that it was hard for Zaya to get any, for Zaya to get much.
Yeah, it wasn't as fast as it could have been. But obviously, now G2 can choose their own adventure now, and saying, well, we could just go to the top lane to free up that next Drake, which is Cloud. We could just go bot lane to secure the map for the next 10 minutes, which is getting the bot lane inhib.
I would say, yeah. I would say if you're looking to spread out the map and look to like pressure a lot with a bunch of Barons, then Cloud would be fine here, but I think their comp doesn't necessarily want to look to do that. Like, I think they want to just have Ryze in the side lane, maybe, and then the rest of them just 4-manning to eat a turret, to eat an inhibitor. Yeah. But, you know, so I don't know how useful the Cloud is for them. They'll take it if they have to, but they won't look to prioritize it.
Yeah. Now, this is an important turning point, I guess, and that is that Yasuo has been pushed into taking Asterix Gauge as a second item instead of an Infinity Edge. This is not the optimal or the ideal world Yasuo, the 100% crit Yasuo.
Yeah.
So even if OG gets a massive engage and Yasuo has enough time to be pumping out the damage, it's not going to be the highest damage possible. We could say the same in terms of Kennen, obviously, Kennen had, for some reason, has gone for the what's the name? Banshee's Veil. There it is. Instead of the team fight oriented Zonias, which I would have taken myself, obviously, in the heat of the moment, and maybe there is some valid argument for it, but
I think part of it is you're against a super fed pick comp, so I mean, I would agree comp-wise and champion-wise you really want the Zhonya's, but you're just going to get popped, and all of them are. Like, I don't know if there's a good choice.
Right.
Yeah, they just got that Terra ult for free, and now they can just go in and...
free.
Well, I mean, they had to use Xayah ult, but that doesn't matter.
This is getting sloppy.
Oh, very. But again, G2 is up 12,000 gold, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, 2 of them are going to die there.
Expendables!
Yeah, exactly.
Ouch!
Yep, that's some damage. But that's what we talked about. If Rakan and Morg die to win a fight, it doesn't matter. That's awesome. We want that. I mean,
6 Zhonya's there.
We want that, yeah.
Yeah, and that looks like...
That's game.
That's game.
G2 executed that beautifully. That's really interesting. They did some surprising things with the funnel, like that splitting up their duo for a really interesting early dive. And I don't know, I really enjoyed that. Let me see if I can get back to when there was here we go. We've got I just wanted to back it up to when we could actually see everybody. But yeah, that was really interesting.
Right. Obviously, when you draft for a team, you always try to surprise the enemy with some creative banning strategy, with some creative picks. Sometimes, depending on your players. G2 just has so much flexibility with its players. Sending Jankos on Morgana, putting perks on a funnel AD carry, because they did train that earlier. When funnel was a thing.
Yeah, back before he became an ADC.
Yeah. Some foreshadowing there. But obviously, there's also the point of novelty and innovation inside of the game. And not just on how you execute your draft, but how you treat the enemy draft. And I think G2 gave enough respect to the Sonateric strategy and saying we're just here to wave clear up until we see an advantage. We're just gonna try and go for the kill. They didn't just bot lane didn't become a war of attrition, which is what Sonateric wants to happen. They pressured Alfari, the teamfight enabler on Origin, up to a point that he's just irrelevant and buying questionable items, in my opinion. And obviously Rek'Sai trying her darndest to be a front line, but just failing miserably. That's not the identity of the champion.
It's 24 minutes and she's on 1.5 items. So it's hard for her to be a tank no matter what.
And 24 minutes, 1 kill per minute.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
one really cool thing about how G2 played that early game, and it comes back to the decision-making leading up to that dive and things like that very early on, is that G2 took advantage of the mistake by Origin to give that first blood beautifully. So that first blood, Rek'Sai went mid lane, Rek'Sai went in, Rek'Sai greeted for that, and they ended up turning it. Now, after mid lane and the funnel doesn't get disrupted that way, I felt like Rek'Sai's main plan to get OG back on track is to look for plays top, because Ryze was pushing in, and they might be able to make a play up there. But G2 didn't let that happen. G2 said, Xayah, continue to get ahead, and we're going to send our 2 supports up.
Right.
We're going to send our 2 supports top lane to get beautiful vision into the blue side, top jungle, so blue buff area, so that we know this dive works, and then we're going to dive the Kennen, so the only chance you had to turn things around and have a winning lane that you can play around is now gone. Because you can't play around a Sonateric to hope to get like early kills and be the lane to snowball around. You want someone else to be ahead, and then they can help facilitate the team fights later.
And there is no easy way of ganking G2's bottom lane in this draft, because you either have Morgana with the Black Shield or Pyke with all the escape tools that he does have, right? And we saw the effects of, it was misplayed to a degree, but it's also, there is a difference between the utility that a support brings, a support like Rakan, with all the shields and heals that you mentioned, versus just pure damage. That was what Nuke Duck and what Cold at some point just brought to the table in that first blood fight.
Yeah.
This was just an amazing game for G2 in regards to draft, in regards to execution, and just one has to ask the question: are there more strategies like this that they have on the strat book?
I hope so.
Because I want to see more.
Because we're going to be covering MSI, and I want to see more. Because this was fun as hell.
If I really do expect teams to just be like, okay, so players, analysts, coaches around the world, submit your strategies for MSI, because I legitimately want to see shenanigans like this.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Across MSI. Yeah, all the time. Anything else that's on your mind right now? Because I think I just covered everything.
Yeah, nothing pressing. We talked about everything. I really enjoyed this game. It was kind of a quick one, but for good reason. We had great reasons to talk about why it turned out this way, and that's awesome. So yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is HideYourCarry, and he is Rolwen, and we will be back in the next one for NA Finals, and then hopefully MSI when it comes around. So yeah, see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.